$830 billion. That's the number attached to OpenAI right now. Not for what it's worth today, for what someone thinks it might be worth tomorrow. It's a number so large it barely makes sense. It's more than the GDP of Switzerland, more than the market cap of Walmart. And it's for a company that doesn't turn a profit. Not yet. Not even close. This isn't a story about a typical tech IPO. This is about a company racing toward what could be the largest public debut in American history while burning cash at a rate that would make most CFOs physically ill. It is about the smartest minds in Silicon Valley betting everything they have on a technology most Americans still don't fully understand. And it's about you whether you realize it or not. Because what happens next will reshape jobs, investments, and power in ways we're only beginning to see. OpenAI is the company behind ChatGPT. You've probably used it. Maybe your kids have. Maybe your coworkers are quietly using it right now to write emails they all pretend took them an hour. In less than 2 years, it went from a tech curiosity to something close to 900 million people use every single week. That's more users than TikTok had at its peak. That's nearly 3 times the population of the United States. But here's the part that should make you pause. While those users keep flooding in, OpenAI is projected to lose somewhere between $100 billion and $150 billion over the next 4 years. Source: Wall Street Journal, December 2025. That's not a typo. Billion, with a B in the end. Some of the wealthiest, most calculating investors on the planet are lining up to pour more money in. Gene Munster, a veteran tech analyst who spent decades watching companies rise and fall, just said publicly that $830 billion might actually be too low. That OpenAI could double or triple from here. So what do they see that the rest of us don't? Let me introduce you to Sarah Cho. She's 34. Lives in Austin, Texas. Works in marketing for a mid-sized software company. 2 years ago, her job looked pretty stable. She wrote campaign copy, managed a small team, coordinated with designers and developers. Then her company started using AI tools. First for small things, automating email responses, generating first drafts of blog posts, then bigger things, building entire ad campaigns in minutes instead of days. Sarah's still employed, but her team of 5 is now a team of 3. The work didn't disappear. It got faster. And the people who could use the tools stayed. The people who couldn't, didn't. She told a local business podcast last month that she spends about half her day now editing what AI produces instead of creating from scratch. She said it this way: "I'm not worried about AI taking my job tomorrow. I'm worried about someone better at using AI taking my job tomorrow." Source: Texas Business Radio, November 2025. That's the context OpenAI is operating in. It's not just a product. It's becoming infrastructure. The same way you don't think twice about using Google to search or Amazon to shop. Millions of Americans are starting to treat ChatGPT like a utility. Need to summarize a 50-page legal document? Done. Need to write code for a small business website? Done. Need to draft a parent-teacher conference email that doesn't sound defensive? Done. OpenAI's revenue reflects that shift. The company brought in about $4 billion in 2024. Gene Munster estimates it'll hit $35 billion in 2026, $70 billion in 2027. Source: Deepwater Asset Management, December 2025. That's not incremental growth. That's the kind of curve you see maybe once or twice a decade. The kind that turned Amazon from an online bookstore into everything. The kind that made Apple the first trillion-dollar company. But revenue isn't profit. And this is where the story gets strange. OpenAI is spending money faster than almost any company in modern history. Training AI models costs a staggering amount. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars per model. The computing power alone requires data centers the size of warehouses filled with specialized chips that cost tens of thousands of dollars each. NVIDIA, the company making most of those chips, has seen its stock price go vertical because companies like OpenAI can't buy them fast enough. Then there's talent. AI researchers at OpenAI aren't making six figures. They're making high six figures, sometimes seven. Stock packages that can run into the tens of millions. Meta, Google, Amazon, they're all trying to poach the same people. It's an arms race, and the ammunition is cash. So why would anyone value a company losing $100 billion at $830 billion? Why would rational investors keep writing checks? Because the people writing those checks think this is the internet in 1995. They think this is the iPhone in 2007. They think if you re-not in now, you'll spend the next 20 years wishing you were. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, has said AI is the most important platform shift since the mobile revolution. Microsoft has already invested $13 billion into OpenAI and woven its technology into Word, Excel, Outlook, everything. Source: Microsoft Earnings Call, October 2025. Sundar Pichai at Google has redirected entire divisions toward AI. Mark Zuckerberg at Meta is spending tens of billions on AI infrastructure. Jensen Huang at NVIDIA calls AI the defining technology of the next 50 years. These aren't wild-eyed startup founders. These are some of the most successful business leaders in history, and they're all betting the company. Not hedge bets, not side projects, the company. Gene Munster put it this way: when leaders of this caliber reallocate tens of billions of dollars, it signals a belief that AI's substance will ultimately overtake the hype. Source: Deepwater Asset Management Blog, December 2025. The belief doesn't pay the bills. And history is littered with companies that were supposed to change everything. In 1999, a company called Netscape was the hottest thing in tech. It had the best web browser. It was growing faster than anyone thought possible. Investors couldn't throw money at it fast enough. Then Microsoft decided browsers mattered. Netscape was gone within a few years, just erased. Lycos was one of the biggest search engines in the world in the late 90s. Valued at over $5 billion during the dot-com boom. Then Google showed up. Lycos is a punchline now if anyone remembers it at all. The pattern is always the same. Early mover advantage is real, but it's not permanent. The question isn't whether AI matters. Everyone agrees it does. The question is whether OpenAI will be the company that wins or whether it'll be the Netscape of this era. The company that showed everyone what was possible right before someone else figured out how to do it better, faster, and cheaper. Google has more data than OpenAI. Meta has more users. Amazon has more computing infrastructure. Microsoft has more enterprise relationships. Any one of them could decide that instead of partnering with OpenAI, they'd rather just build it themselves. And they have the resources to do it. That's the bear case. That OpenAI is burning through cash to stay ahead of competitors who have deeper pockets, more distribution, and no need to turn a profit tomorrow because they're profitable today. But here's where the story takes a turn. In early December 2025, OpenAI reportedly entered talks with Amazon for an investment of more than $10 billion. Source: Reuters, December 2025. Not a partnership. Not a licensing deal. An investment. Amazon, one of the most ruthlessly efficient companies in the world, is apparently willing to write a check with 10 zeros on it. At the same time, OpenAI is preparing to go public. Filings with the SEC could come as soon as mid-2026. The rumored IPO valuation? $1 trillion. Source: Reuters, December 2025. Think about that for a second. OpenAI would go public at a valuation higher than the market cap of Berkshire Hathaway, higher than Tesla, higher than Visa. It would be one of the 10 most valuable companies in America the moment it started trading. And it would be doing it while still losing money. That's never happened before. Not at this scale. Not even close. For an IPO like that to work, OpenAI would need to convince public investors, not just venture capitalists, that the growth is real and sustainable, that the losses are temporary, that the technology will keep improving, that competitors won't catch up, and that everyday Americans will keep using it. So far, the usage numbers suggest they will. ChatGPT hit 100 million users faster than any app in history. Faster than Instagram. Faster than TikTok. It's now embedded in workflows at Fortune 500 companies. Schools, law firms, hospitals, and small businesses across the country. Source: OpenAI Usage Reports, November 2025. Tom Daniels owns a small accounting firm outside Charlotte, North Carolina. 4 employees. Handles taxes and bookkeeping for local families and small businesses. He started using ChatGPT 6 months ago to help draft client emails and summarize tax code changes. He said it cut his research time in half. He's not a tech guy. He didn't go to some AI boot camp. He just signed up and started using it. And now he can't imagine going back. He said this in a local TV interview. I thought it was going to be complicated. It's not. It's like having a really smart assistant who never gets tired and never makes me feel stupid for asking the same question twice. Source: WCNC Charlotte, November 2025. That's the bull case in a nutshell. It's not that AI is coming. It's that it's already here, and people are using it. Not in some distant sci-fi future, right now. In Austin and Charlotte and 10,000 other towns across America. But let's be clear about what we're not talking about. We're not talking about AI that thinks. We're not talking about robots taking over. We're not even talking about artificial general intelligence, which is the term for machines that can do everything a human can do. What we're talking about is a tool, a very powerful tool, one that can read, write, summarize, analyze, translate, and generate faster than any human ever could. But it's still a tool. It makes mistakes. It hallucinates facts. It can't reason the way people reason, and it has no idea what it's saying. It's predicting the next word in a sentence based on patterns it's seen before. That's it. OpenAI knows this. So do the investors. The bet isn't that ChatGPT will become sentient. The bet is that even as a tool, it's valuable enough to be worth $1 trillion. And maybe it is. If you allow your billing $400 an hour, and AI can do 20% of your work in 5% of the time, that's worth a lot. If you're a software company that can cut your customer service team in half because AI can handle Tier 1 support, that's worth a lot. If you're a student who can study twice as efficiently, or a teacher who can grade assignments in a fraction of the time, that's worth something too. The question is whether it's worth $830 billion, or $1 trillion, or more. Gene Munster thinks it is. He's one of the most respected tech analysts in the country. Spent years covering Apple before it became the most valuable company on earth. He's not prone to hype. And he's saying OpenAI is undervalued. Amazon, Google, and Facebook were all born in that window. The companies that got it right became trillion-dollar giants. The companies that didn't disappeared. We're in that window again, and OpenAI is at the center of it. So what happens next? What should you actually be watching? 3 things. First, revenue growth. OpenAI says it's on track to hit $35 billion in revenue by 2026. If that number holds, or if it grows faster, the valuation starts to make sense. If it slows, if growth flattens, if competition eats into market share, the story changes fast. Revenue is the signal. Everything else is noise. Second, the IPO. If OpenAI goes public in late 2026 at $1 trillion valuation and the stock holds, it means public investors believe the hype. It means everyday retirement accounts and index funds are betting on AI. If the stock drops, if the IPO gets delayed, if the company decides to stay private longer, that's a red flag. Public markets are ruthless. They don't care about potential. They care about results. Third, profitability. Right now, OpenAI is losing billions. That's fine in the short term. But at some point, the company has to show it can make money. If the path to profitability starts to look real, if the losses start shrinking, if margins improve, the valuation is justified. If the losses keep growing, if the path to profitability keeps getting pushed back, investors will walk. They always do. For most Americans, this isn't just a story about tech valuations and IPOs. It's a story about work, about what skills matter, about who gets left behind and who gets ahead. If you're in a job that involves repetitive tasks, writing, data entry, customer support, basic coding, you need to be paying attention, not because AI is going to replace you tomorrow, but because someone using AI might. If you're managing a team, you need to be thinking about how this technology changes productivity, how it changes hiring, how it changes the skills you need from people. If you're investing, you need to be thinking about whether this is the next internet or the next .com bubble, because both are possible. And if you're just living your life, trying to pay the bills and take care of your family, you need to know that the world is shifting under your feet. Quietly, quickly, and the companies making these decisions aren't waiting for permission. $830 billion. That's where we started. That's the number OpenAI thinks it's worth. That's the number some of the smartest investors in the world are apparently willing to pay. Maybe they're right. Maybe we'll look back in 10 years and realize this was the ground floor of something that reshaped everything. Maybe OpenAI will be the Google of this era, the company that defines a generation. Or maybe we'll look back and see another cautionary tale, another Netscape, another company that moved first, moved fast, and got run over by someone bigger. Either way, the bet is placed. The money is moving, and the rest of us are along for the ride. The only question left is whether we're ready.